Hey guys, I'm Courtney Hunter and thank you so much for joining my channel. Um, Please, if you get a chance, like and subscribe. I have been struggling so much to do a video, and it is 11 o'clock at night, and I think I may be ready. I started this channel specifically to address and help people who may be like myself, really just acknowledging that we're not weird, that we may have a gift. Um, because in our community, which I mean the black community, for the most part, having gifts such as being psychic or empath is often looked at as being weird or crazy. So, for the first part of my life, I was pretty depressed. I was pretty confused. And being in a family that did not acknowledge certain abilities or gifts made it even worse. So, this is for the child or people who are properly misunderstood. In the first part of my life, I really did not come into this life feeling protected. I felt very insecure from a young age. I mean that in the sense that my parents had a very volatile relationship. So I was exposed to violence very early on in my life. And that's not to say that my parents weren't great people or that they did not do a good job. It's just when you grow up in a household where there is violence and abuse, it tends to make children feel very unprotected and insecure. But I can distinctly remember always seeing this guy who would walk into the bathroom. And as he walked into the bathroom, I remember seeing the back of his head where he had on a white, as they call it now, wife beater. And he would hold his head and just be scratching it and walking into the bathroom. And I would often ask my mom and dad, who's the guy walking into the bathroom? It was a very interesting situation in that there was not any guy that lived at our house other than my father. I was very blessed in the sense that while very young, I had an uncle and a godmother who would come and rescue me from my home situation. And that went on for many years and the better part of my early adult life. That's skipping ahead. I'm only saying that because although you may be born with gifts and you are misunderstood, there are angels and what I consider guardians who are sent to protect you in some way. So life wasn't always bad. And if I didn't have to compare it to other people's lives, I would not have thought it was bad or my life was bad in any kind of way. So It was good to get a break, and I thank God for those two people who would come around and rescue me. Um, it was very interesting because, unlike some people that I hear who were young and had a gift, I don't remember seeing any people that my family didn't see except for uh, the guy who would go into the bathroom. Other than that, I was just very, very sensitive, and I was and am what you would call an empath. As I learn more, I understand that empaths are people who can feel energies, and sometimes we absorb other people's energies. So I wasn't psychic in the sense I could predict or I had visions of the future at all. I was just very keenly aware of energies and my surroundings. I think it was a blessing that I could not see people because that would have made the whole situation really, really confusing to me as a child because I did not have any people who were around me that were my age. My brother, who is 12 years older than me, and my sister, who is 10 years older than me, they were not here for that type of party. Um, Also, I wrote a couple of notes to keep me on track because sometimes I get really, really nervous in front of cameras, which for some people who know me would find that very hard to believe, but it's true. Sometimes people who are empaths or psychic or indigo, whatever we want to call them, they are often abused. They are often neglected. And many times you have abilities and light that people who do not often want to put out. So throughout life, you go through many abusive situations, and as I said at the beginning, are sometimes born into families where violence is prevalent. Many times and oftentimes, people see things in you that you do not know that you have. And many times, people saw things in me that I didn't know I had. So I would get accused of knowing things that I did not know, of seeing things that I did not see, and understanding that here I am, this child, the product of people who didn't necessarily understand me. I was often told that I was always in grown people's business, that I needed to go sit down and shut up, that of course I saw many things that a child my age should not have seen. And being that at 7 years old, we moved to Hollywood Boulevard. That was in itself very confusing and full of energy. I felt pretty loved, but as I grew older, I began to see that I was often just used for certain things. because I had a Nintendo, of course, which is natural, or that by some weird luck, I was born into a family that often afforded me many material things, but I lacked, I would say, love and affection and time, which are the most important things in life. Don't ever get it twisted. But once again, being born in a family where they could afford me nicer things in life, I did not necessarily make friends because they liked me or because I was somehow cool. It was strictly because of these material things that many people wanted to possess or use me for, which all in all is a natural thing and a part of life, right? So you would think. But what happens when you're used and these things are entities or dark things that use you? And they come in and introduce themselves to you at a very early age, and you, being a child, don't necessarily know that these things are bad. So at an early age, I pretty much had a relationship with entities that were not of the light. And that's where I'm going to leave you for tonight until I get up enough nerve to come back and finish my story. I do want you to understand that I am now in a great place in life, but I will always be an empath. And if you are an empath, then you will understand, and hopefully you will tune in to the rest of my journey. Thank you, and please follow Lotus Concierge